So you know how when astronauts are like preparing to go out into outer space, they can't just like go in the spaceship because their bodies would deteriorate, or like maybe not immediately, but they have to do certain things to acclimate their systems, to be able to survive the best, right? I don't know, like specifically I was hearing something about like acclimating to G forces, okay? And I think the reason why this download is relevant is that you've kind of completed this phase, and it may have felt like it took a long time, but really it's kind of I don't know, it's sort of like as it being like the year of the fire horse, a lot of like your life is going to change drastically, okay? And if you weren't prepared for it, obviously mentally, for some of you literally physically, okay, but also just like spiritually or energetically, especially if you've been seeing messages about, oh, you're expanding, okay, it's kind of like, or if you see stuff about, oh, your aura is like making room for the new to come in. That's kind of what I'm getting, that this has to do with you know you just have to think of it as, if everything had happened immediately, it may have been too much in some way, okay? It's like but that's over. Like, well, it's always like an ongoing process, but things can actually move forward now, and for some of you it could just resonate with like your nervous system is fully regulated, okay? um the way that you could know that that has happened is if there's something about, you're able to focus on one task at a time, and if you do multitask, it's like a choice and not a necessity, okay? So like, if you go to watch a video, you can sit there and like watch and focus on the video. You don't have to do a bunch of other things. um it's like it doesn't feel overwhelming to just engage with one task at a time. Like, your mind doesn't race. You're able to feel at peace just by taking things slowly. And it's like you've gained this ability to, regardless of what's going on outside of you, because you know you can adopt the mentality of no longer being in survival mode, even if your external conditions are not necessarily ideal, because it is a vibration, it is a state of mind, okay? you know um it's kind of like a heavy example, but I haven't actually seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure like, I think it's like it's a beautiful life or something, where um I don't know which words would trigger on TikTok or anything, but it's like they're in um really harsh conditions, but I think the dad tries to make it into a game, or like to make it something fun for the child or whatever, to be able to handle, so that the child isn't like in distress or despair, even though they are in like a really bad situation or whatever. So, and I'm not saying that you necessarily have to be in a really bad situation right now, but even if you are, it's like um you're just not in survival mode, like mentally, if that makes sense. So you could notice that you are focusing less on um like, say you have creative interests, you know it's less about you engaging in a passion because you want to become wealthy in that passion, and more so you are trying to use it as a way to help other people, to like share some form of wisdom or beauty, even, um, through what you can create. So it's like, gaining this more of like, how can I help? How can I pay it forward with whatever I do have available to me, as opposed to what can I gain out of this? Okay. But going back to my original point, sorry, I'm like a little cold, but, you know, because I don't want to get into things on a scientific level too much, right? But it's just something about like, oh, your cortisol levels are actually decreasing, so you may notice you becoming less bloated or puffy specifically, okay? Or even like joint inflammation, you could notice is decreasing too, okay? Hold on. But so yeah, it's like you're in a very serene and calm inner state because of like, maybe you wanted things to happen faster for you, but if they had happened more quickly, you know how you can get overwhelmed or overstimulated? I'm almost seeing as like your system would overheat in some way, and whatever way that would materialize for you. Um, I guess, to put it into like terms for the sake of, I don't know, it's just that like you may have regressed into like like negative coping mechanisms or something like that, or experience like spikes of anxiety or even panic attacks. It's something like that, or just overthinking. But something like you were, so if you were like, oh, why is everything so calm? Why is everything so still? This is boring. Nothing's happening. That's just because you were, again, like in that like acclimation stage, okay? And to get a bit spiritual, okay, obviously I'm not like a quantum physicist or anything like that, but um energetically it's giving that it would make sense that if your consciousness is ascending in some way, and you are, also, if you're going from one timeline to another, or one like a lower vibration to a higher one, you just have to sort of, like, the way that I visualize it, it's like a similar atmospheric shift as, literally leaving the planet and going somewhere else, if you, whether you want to get a bit woo woo and think about, if you're like literally on a different earth, or like you like your consciousness has literally left the old simulation and been brought into a new one. um I was going to split this part into a different message and just take it as it resonates, but there's something about, with all of like the planetary alignments, and then we have like I think it's like a total lunar eclipse tonight even, okay? And then like there's just a lot of things that are, objectively, if you let go of that like hyper rationalism mind, it's obviously indicating some sort of alignment, okay? But what I was picking up is that, okay, again, you could take this metaphorically, right? But essentially, and maybe even in the past few days or the past week, you could have had a break in some way. Um, there's just something in regards to, like, even for one day, you needed to break out of a lack mindset, or like raise your vibration, or like feel safe, or have a fully regulated nervous system, almost so that, okay, this is kind of woo woo or whatever, but like say there was like a spaceship that was coming over, okay, and it was like looking for people ready to ascend to their highest timeline, or again, there are multiple highest timelines, it's just that your preferred one, okay? And again, this is just an example, right? um but like, and say that, like, in order for you to actually go up in the spaceship, you had to raise your consciousness's vibration enough, otherwise you would be too dense to be picked up, so to speak, okay? um right, so it's something about like a lightness needed to be, like a lightness of spirit needed to be established in some way, um in order for you to, again, be like picked up or whatever, and like in order for you to sort of ascend without it destroying you in some way, like for your system to be able to handle that, you know what I mean? And so you did it, okay, you succeeded. Like, confirmation for this will just happen in your everyday life, like actually seeing forward movement, and like even if you are getting busy, it's not overwhelming to you. um it's not overstimulating, because you always like conceptualize all of this is progressing me closer to my desired reality and my end goal, so it's okay and it's easy for me to handle, there's also something of like not, I don't know, not to like revisit the past or anything, but like a former version of yourself, it would have required a former version of yourself more effort to do things that are about to be or are effortless to you now. Because I keep hearing that, like, I keep hearing these like affirmations. So one was um like everything is effortless for me, okay, and then one was like, hold on, everything is already taken care of way before it ever becomes a problem to me. And I kept hearing those things like repeat again and again and again, while I was driving. So that's something significant about you, just like done something energetically to raise yourself upon this almost like stream, you know how sometimes there will be like wind streams so that birds can like ride that current, that wind current, so they don't have to like flap their wings at all, they kind of just like coast along. So it's like you were able to raise yourself enough to catch that wind stream to where, honestly, everything is going to feel effortless for you moving forward.